trouble. G'day, legends. Time for a bit of Jim Does SuperCoach. That's right, NBA Supercoach time. Week 14 is upon us. Absolutely chaotic vibes as well because, wow, there's a lot going on and most of it's headed up by Jusuf Nurkic. That's right, the Bosnian Bear. 3 straight triple doubles. As we all predicted. What? No, that's not how it goes. Absolutely crazy stuff this week. Very fun week too. So let's get into it. What are we going to do on this week's show? Very quick one again because came back from long weekend in the car, sort of, ahead of the fire warnings, all that sort of stuff. We're all good. It's all chill. And then you're like, all right, cool. We're going to do an NFL show. We've got the NBA stuff. We've got an NBA Straya coming out as well. So a little bit of chaos. But with NBA Supercoach, it's sort of nice to at least go, right, we've got 12 hours until lockout kicks in. So let's get into it. I ended up with 1133 this week, a hint under par, mostly because Jamal Murray missed a couple of games. One that got rescheduled, another one where he sort of got a night off on the back-to-back, citing hip and hamstring sort of soreness. So look, hopefully he bounces back and he's okay, but bit of a really strange one. So I think I still finished top 4% this week. Dropped 4 spots total overall to 590th. I reckon most of that's probably got to do with me putting the captaincy on Wemby. So C goes on Wemby. He ends up with 122. And the folks that put the C on SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he ripped off a pretty lazy 165. So not bad there if you managed to pull that off. Very smart. Even Maxey outscored Wemby with 126. Bam was probably a pretty popular captaincy pick as well with the 5 games. Didn't look great after the first one, but Bam played all of them, ends up scoring 131, so not too bad there. But mostly for me, Jamal Murray and Cooper Flagg were the big letdowns. And outside of that this week, I mean, we've got some big sort of questions coming up, but really, as per usual, make sure you're playing the schedule, doing what you need to do about having all your dudes playing as many games as humanly possible. And this week, it's really easy. We'll get to that in a second, but your injuries are also the sort of big ones that are throwing a bit of a spanner in the works, right? Giannis is done for another 4 to 6 weeks, he reckons. We don't have official word on Giannis as of yet, but he had the calf strapped up after his game. He was out there saying, yep, probably 4 to 6 weeks, and the trade deadline hits in February 4. So, yeah, rough time for the Giannis owners. You get that on the big jobs. Devin Booker, we sort of hit on this last week. He came down weird on an ankle, hasn't played, won't play for another week again. Darius Garland as well with the injury. You think about the other sort of folks out there. Deni Avdija just missed a week. Well, not a week. He missed a couple of games 2 weeks ago. Came back, missed another game. And that's sort of a bit of a strange one for me too. So just remember, check your injury reports. It's really tough on this week-to-week aspect of NBA Supercoach with the trading in and out and not being able to trade during the week, but make as an informed decision as you possibly can. There is an interesting one coming up this week with Josh Giddey, but we'll get to that in a sec. Who are the biggest sort of scorers this week? We obviously had SGA with 165, 142 for Emmanuel Quickly on the Raptors. He was really good. Yeah, Luka rip off 132. He was absolutely massive this week for the Lakers to the point where you're just like, we all probably should have just kept Luka because he ripped off 52 against Denver, 37 against the Clippers, and then 43 more against Dallas. So that 132 came in 3 games, which is worth remembering. When you go into some of these weeks, you're like, I need to have everybody playing at least 4 games. Sometimes, if it's your top scorers, you can let it ride. And that's what I'm sort of kicking around this week with Wemby. So we'll see what happens. But otherwise, in terms of like the bus of the week, Cooper Flagg managing only 54 for the Mavericks is a really tough one. VJ Aidscombe had 66. He had 69 for Ace Bailey. So the young dudes, it was a little bit of rough sledding there for some of them. Con Knippel only managed the 58 as well for the Hornets. And it's a bit of a rough one. But Giannis at least got to 100 before he got injured. So good job by you if you had him. Otherwise, Ant-Man only had 79 last week. He's still owned by about, I think, 22% of coaches. Otherwise, Donovan Mitchell only managed the 96. Not great for the 15% of us who have got him, including me. And Cade Cunningham had 74. And this is like, I chose last week to not go with Cade for the simple fact his wrist injury was clearly bothering him. He ends up with 74. You know, the rebound assist numbers are usually going to be there as well, but I wanted to give it a bit of a week, and I was kind of happy that I did. Just saying. So there you go. Cash cows and trade targets for the next week, week 14. Who are we looking at? It's a really, really interesting week because what do we do when we go into a week for Supercoach? We look at the schedule. That's right. Who's playing 4 games? Who's playing the max games this week, Jim? Well, guess what? There's one team playing 5 again. And weirdly enough, they play against Miami 3 times. It's the Chicago Bulls. So the Bulls play 5 games in this 1 week, which makes, we should just all get Josh Giddey into our team. Gids is coming back from a calf strain. So I would caution just a little bit before we all jump on the Gidmeister train. Hamstring tightness, hamstring strains, we've seen time and time again lead to Achilles injuries. And the NBA has been a little bit more conservative about calf strains over the last 12, 18 months than they had been. And rightly so, because we've just seen Jason Tatum go down. We've seen Tyrese Halliburton go down, Dame Lillard. So, I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced that Gids plays all 5 games this week. So, just keep an eye on that. But I believe there are 20 teams with 4 games this week, though. So, we're feeling pretty good then to essentially be able to build out most of our squad playing 4 games. I think I will get most of my guys, apart from maybe Wemby, on a 4-game week. So I think it is Atlanta, Boston, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Cleveland, Denver, Detroit, Houston, the Lakers, Memphis, Miami, Minnesota, New York, Orlando, Philly, Phoenix, Portland, Sacramento, Utah, and Washington, all on 4-game weeks, which is pretty good. It makes life a little bit easier for you. But by the same token, we've still got to make sure we get the right players in, don't we? But I think when you've got that many options and with who you've already got on your squad, on your court, this is what we talked about last week, right? Like making sure that whoever had the 4 games that week, 4 games the week after, maybe even the 4 games next week, get them in now so you get the max games. That's like Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown, 116 last week. Not a problem there. Maxey, 126, feeling pretty good. And now it means you can get like the likes of Jalen Johnson. I mean, I kept LP Şengün as well because he's got the 4 games this week. Feeling pretty good about that too. Bam has got 4 games again this week too. So he had 5 last week. He's got another 4 this week. He just stays in my team. That sort of stuff. So I guess with all of this being said, we've got lots of different options who you can trade in. Thing is, again, who's got 4 games this week and 4 games next week? That only comes down to actually Boston, Houston, Memphis, Minnesota, the Knicks, and Philly, as well as Washington. So what that means, the trade targets for this week. If you don't have Jaylen Brown in, you can still get 8 games of Jaylen Brown, presumably, over the next 2 weeks. Houston, that's LP Şengün. It's Amen Thompson. It's Kevin Durant. I'm fine with any of those 3, maybe not all 3, but Amen's been coming on a little bit of late. LP's been okay. He only managed a 74 this week, but I mean, LP, I think when you have the big fella on your team and he rips off that huge game, you just feel pretty good. He only managed 16 against Detroit. He on a 3-game week, and I think we're just going to ride that out. And you're like, he was almost there because he started off with 36 against the Spurs, 22 against Philly. The 16 against Detroit was a really tough one. But anyway, Memphis is the really tricky one. They don't have Ja Morant, so it means you've got a lot of their youngsters getting a little bit more of the ball, but none of them are that good, especially for Supercoach. So it's a bit of a tough one. Minnesota's an easy one for Ant-Man. Maybe Randall if you want to go a bit of a POD with Randall also has had like some really weird weeks. So I don't know. Knicks, Brunson and Cat are the sort of usual go-tos there. Philly, that's Maxey, but so is maybe Joel Embiid? Question mark. Not bad. He's been pretty good. and Washington. So those are they're the 7 teams with 4 games this week and next week. So keep an eye on them. I'll be trying to get as many of the dudes from those teams onto my team right now if I don't have them already. Because then we've got a couple more weeks until we get to the week where we have the All-Star break. So it goes across 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. You'll have a bunch of teams playing 5 games in that period. So we essentially want to try to gear everything towards having a lot of the 5-game dudes on our team as well in a couple of weeks' time. So, but my favorite I'll use my words. Trade targets for this week. It's obviously the folks out there like digging into Kevin Durant. That makes sense. Vucevic for the Bulls. Vooch is probably a little bit more of a solid pick than Josh Giddey. With the 5 games, Vooch doesn't often sit out. Gidd's coming back from the hamstring injury. He was coming off the bench anyway. He's probably fine with the numbers. I think coming off the bench, maybe 1 or 2 more games of that 5 games. He had 21, 6, and 5 in his first game back anyway, right? So he's probably all right. But priced at 15.5 mil, if you have the opportunity of Gidd's, KD possibly, this sort of comes down to like who you might prefer, who might have the higher upside. At this point, even Vooch, I think, is 15.4 mil. So if you've got a spot in your flex position or in your center, maybe a slightly more reliable version of the trade that you want to put in there ahead of Gidd's. But outside of that, I mean, Jalen Johnson straight back into my team for the 4-game week. The Hawks are his team now. He had 109 last week. Let's go, Jalen Johnson. Keep an eye on Domantas Sabonis, back as a starter for the Kings, back putting up big numbers. You saw Dylan Cardwell. He's probably the best cash cow of the week as well. His block numbers are through the roof. He and Maxime Renaud are doing okay-ish as the backup bigs there in Sacramento. But Cardwell's got a massively low break-even this week, so he should go whack and make you a little bit of cash. Because in terms of the cash cows, like I think he's right up the top of that one with the break-even of 3 after he put up 90 last week. The other cash cows as well, you've still got Simone Fontecchio, who's probably going to come into my team as like a bit of a filler on the bench. He's 5.1 mil. He had 82 last week for the Heat. Not bad. Musa Cisse on Dallas, playing plenty. Managed 29 last week because he's priced at 4.9 mil. He'll go up, break even to minus 14. Emmanuel quickly goes off. He had the 12 mil. It's a little bit tough because he had a massive game in there. Did IQ. He's been crushing it though for the Raptors for a little bit, but he managed over the last week. He had the 4-game week. He had 51 against the Golden State Warriors, backed it up with 28 against Sacramento, 32 against Portland, and 31 against OKC. Huge week. But again, this comes after a 23-19 and 17 and 12 in week 11, a 15 and 15 in week 12. It's pretty crazy. So big jump from IQ. Don't know if I trust it. Julian Strawther, though, 3.7 mil, break even to minus 2. Lots of opportunities for Strawther and the rest of that Denver team, so keep an eye out on your Nuggets. Other than that, Jarris Walker, the Pacers have only got 3 games this week. He's got a break even of 3. He's putting up serious numbers because they've still got no warm bodies there. Otherwise, it's probably not too many other folks that I'm going to be jumping on this week in terms of the cash cows. It's getting pretty thin on the ground. So what I'm probably going to be looking at, I mean, Cardwell's a really interesting sort of chop for the simple idea that in Sacramento, they're just going to keep making money. Nurk at 14.5 mil. Break even to 61. Triple-double. Like, it's crazy, these triple-doubles. But do we trust that Utah just won't go, okay, now Nurk has got a calf injury and we're definitely not tanking, but we are tanking. It's a little bit dicey, a little bit risky. The same with Joel Embiid at 15.8 mil, break even to 61. He can go whack and go massive, but I probably want to see another week or 2 of Embiid and make sure that they're going to play him as much as possible before I jump on. So bit of a rough one there. And the other one I just want to keep, a bit of pause on is Deni Avdija. You sort of like, I automatically was like, ooh, he can come straight back in. And then I'm like, ooh, wait a minute, that back injury, he missed that last game. I don't like screwing around with back injuries. Just kind of a simple thing. because it can be a thing that can flare up very quickly out of nowhere in warm-ups. If it feels like a little bit of discomfort, they just won't play him. So I might just steer clear of our man Deni for the week. I don't feel great about it, but here we are. So I think what I'm going to do this week, I'm probably going to bring in Jalen Johnson. I might swap out SGA for Luka, with Luka on a 4-game week versus SGA on a 3-game week. As I said, it's actually not too bad to be able to, if I've got your superstars and they're playing 3 games, as we saw with Luka this week, you can still rip off 132. SGA could probably come pretty close to doing that as well, but I don't know if I can get to Luka if I traded out Jamal Murray or somebody, right? Who I'm also a little bit dicey on, and I'm kind of like, ooh, maybe I should get rid of him, but he does have a 4-game week. I feel like the game that he set out was a little bit of maintenance rather than an actual big issue. Their other game was obviously postponed as well against Memphis. So he has a 4-game week. Hopefully he's okay. We'll see how we go. This is one of those ones where you take it into Tuesday morning, you check up on all your Nuggets sources and all your sort of like reporting from them just to see what's going on before you might reverse some trades. But I've obviously got Jalen Johnson. I'm going to throw Simone Fontecchio in there, bring in Gids. And I think I'm going to use a boost and bring in Luka. I just don't know about this last one because I could also just... The 5 games for Gids is very tempting, right? Like we know that his rebound numbers, his assist numbers are through the roof. Coming off a calf, we might go to Vooch, move Bam into the power forward spot and sort of slip some dudes around that way. Or we might reverse it all, not use the boost, save that for later on in the season if we really, really need it. But I sort of feel like with Wemby on a 3-game week, you've still got Bam on the 4, so he stays for me. Luka coming in as the captaincy option, or Maxi on the 4-game week as a captaincy option. I don't mind either of those options. I kind of just want to have one of Luka or SGA on my team at all times, and I want one of those 2 dudes playing the max amount of games. So this week, I think it's going to be Luka coming in for SGA. And especially with OKC's like upcoming schedule, I don't know if they play the max amount of games for a little bit right now. Yeah, they've got 3 next week as well. And then in week 16, that's when they've got 5 again. So yeah, but we've got 2 weeks of 3 games from SGA. I'd rather get the 4 from Luka this week. And then I think the Lakers go back to another 3-game week next week, so we'll figure it out from there. But so I'm going to throw the C on Luka, I think, this week. See how he goes. Maxi's probably not a bad option as well. Jalen Johnson also, because, I mean, the Hawks, he's their man. So I love me some Jalen Johnson. He's been going up his head. Jaylen Brown has been really, really solid. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple more of those massive scores from him, though. It sort of seems like he's being pretty efficient, putting up a lot of ancillary stats as well, but he's being super solid. Last week he managed 24, 33, 26, 33. Want to see more of like the high 30s, early 40 scores from him, where he's sort of putting up maybe triple-double sort of time, scores. So anyway, but he stays in my team. Scotty Barnes goes out, I think. Cooper Flagg goes out. Derek Queen goes out. Queen, Flagg, and Scotty Barnes. Toronto got the 3-game week and a couple of those in a row, I believe. So we'll cash in a couple of those cash cows from earlier on in the season. We move on from Scotty again, switch him out. But for the minute, it's Johnson in. It's Luka in. We might not pull the trigger on the Giddey trade just yet. And Fontecchio comes in as well as a bit of a trade ballast, who can hopefully make a bit of cash on the bench. He's at 5.1 mil. He scored 82 last week. He'd have got lots of games to play. He'll just play a bunch and hopefully hit some shots. So, but there you go. That's it. All right. So that's it for NBA Supercoach for week 14, the preview. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let us know. Go check us out across all of your podcast apps, all that sort of stuff, across all the socials as well with NBA Straya and Jim Does SuperCoach. But you can also go watch NFL Straya or listen to that as well, myself and Gaz. Really fun week this week with my beloved Pats making the Super Bowl. Very happy times. A few tins already. Pretty excited. We've also got a Super Bowl party at the Catfish in Fitzroy. It's going to be awesome. So if you want to come watch it with us, do that. Good times. Great memories. It's really fun. Otherwise, rate, review, start, subscribe across all your podcast apps. Check us out on YouTube. Rate, review, subscribe everywhere. Jump in the comments. Say good day. Send through any questions you want us to hit on next week and go off your heads. All right. This is an interesting one, though. Pretty crazy week ahead. Strap in. Week 14 of NBA Supercoach ahead. Best of luck to you. This has been Jim Does SuperCoach. Happy Supercoaching.